Welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to look at how to multiply any number by 45. As a mental maths, someone who likes mental maths, I just want to show you some shortcuts and thinking process that goes through. If someone gives you an assignment, you're supposed to multiply a number by 45. So we have some few questions here that we're going to use to demonstrate. So we have A, B, C, D, E. So I have 5 examples that we're going to use to actually elaborate how multiplication of any number by 45 can be simplified. Now, before we do that, we have to go to some few steps. I have to show you some few steps that you have to consider when doing this. So step number one, for us to achieve step number one is always, we have 45. If you watch our previous video, we talked about how to multiply a number by 50. So if you have 45, it's very close to 50. And there are so many shortcuts that someone can use to multiply a number by 50. So what we're going to do here is we're going to promote. So we're going to promote 45 to 50. So that's the first thing. And that's going to be the step one. And if you remember, for step two, the most important thing is like how to multiply a number by 50. If you didn't watch the video, so normally what happens is like we basically just multiply that number. So let's say if you have 2 multiply, let's say 25 multiplied by 50. So one thing we're going to do here is basically multiply this one by 100. So that means like we multiply 225 by 100. So we're going to say 25 by 100, and then basically just divide the product, what we get here, by 2. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Like we divide this by 2. So in this case, now we know that 25 multiplied by 100 is going to give you 25,000, 2,500, and if you divide that one by 2, will give you 1,250, like 1,250. So that is just like a recap on the video that we did on the previous. So that's going to be easy. We just multiply that number by 100 and divide by 2. So the first thing is like since 45 is very close to 50. So to ease in our work, we're going to promote 45 to 50 so that it becomes easier to calculate. And then what we're going to do is like to just multiply. Step 2 is going to be then get the product. Okay, so we get the product of the number. So we get the product of the number. After multiply that one by 50. So that's going to be the product. After getting the product, now we're going to look at a tenth, or someone can say 10%. So we're going to say, what is the 10% of the product? So we're going to look at, this is the step 3. We're going to look at what is the 10% of the product, the answer we get here, and then so 10% of the product. And the last step is going to be which is going to be step 4, is going to be subtract. So it's going to be subtraction, where we are going to say, we're going to say the product in step 2 here. And then we're going to less the 10%. So we less 10% that we get. And then the answer, so we're going to less, and the answer will be our answer. So this is just like the theory part of it. But now let's try to see how this one plays. So we have A. So A, we have here 23 multiplied by 45. In this case, we are going to multiply, we're going to promote 45 to 50 in this case, so that we multiply it by 50. If you remember how I said in our previous video when we talked about how to multiply a number by 50, is basically multiply that one by 100. So 23 multiplied by 100 is going to be 2300, and then divide that number by 2. Okay, that's going to give us 11. Okay, that's going to give us, if you divide this one by 2, it's going to give us 1150. Okay, so after dividing by 2, so then the next thing is, that's the thing, we just did it here quickly. So we multiply that, we promote it to be 50, we multiply then the product by 100, and now we want to go to the point where we're going to look for 10% of the product. So we know what's the 10% of this product. So it's like 115, and that's what we're going to do less there. So we're going to say what is then minus 115. So for us to get our answer, we just subtract that. So you see, it's like a one-liner, but whatever is going, the thought process that's going on, we're having step 1, we're promoting everything to 50, and then multiplying, the number with by 50, and then we quickly look at the 10% of the product, and then we get the answer. So here we know that this is going to give us 5. Here, this is going to give us now 4 is remaining here, remember? 4 is now remaining here, minus 1 is going to give us 3. So here we have 0, and then we have 1. So 1035 is going to be our answer. So it's a quick way of doing it. The thought process, actually, whatever is happening in your mind is this one, but actually it's easy. It's just like a one-liner to do. So let's look at another number. I like using different pens so that we get, so this is 435. So B, we have 435. So what we're going to do, quickly multiply that one by, so we have multiply by 50. And if you remember, for us to multiply any number by 50, what do we get? We multiply that number by 100 and divide by 2. So in this case now, 435 multiply 100 will give us 2 zeros. And now what we're going to do here is divide that one by 2. Okay, so if you divide that number by 2, you can even start from here. So, here is going to give us 2, 3, 1, and then this is going to give us what? It's 15, so we have 7. So actually, yeah, and then we have 5, 0. So we're going to have here 21,750. So this is going to be our our number, our answer, like our big number. But then we want to actually find what is 10% of this number. So that means, like we say, we multiply this number by 10 over 100. So basically, we are just going to say cancel 1 0, and then we have here 2,175. So that's what we're going to less there. So here, so that we have here 5, 7, 1, 2. So that is basically, if you want to prove that, and you can say, okay, what is 10%? 10 over 100 multiplied by 21,750. So you see that this 0 will cancel with 0, and this 0 will cancel here. So we will just have 21,750. So that's going to be the 10% that we're supposed to less from here. So for us to get the answer, we know here is going to be 5, and then we know 14 minus that one's going to give us 7, and then we have 6 here minus 1 is going to give us 5, and then we know here is going to be 20, so 11 minus that one's going to give us 9, and then we have here 1. So our answer is going to be 19,575. So that's how quickly you can get an answer if you multiply it by 5. The idea is like, I'm just showing you because I have to demonstrate how it works. But in most cases, when you do mental maths, you don't have to. It's like a mental process. You're going to see, okay, you're going to quickly, if I see this number, I'm going to quickly jump to here and then divide that one by 2. And then the next thing is just subtract a 10% of that, and that makes things very easy. So that is why calculation and multiplying any number by 45 becomes easier. So now let's go to C. C is just like a huge number, but who are we? We just don't mind doing those kind of numbers. So I am going to look at, we're going to do C on this other side. So we'll see here. So we have here 4,561. So like we said, the first step is going to be to promote 45 to be 50. So we're going to multiply that one by 50. And we know that every time we multiply a number by 50, it's just equivalent to saying we have 4,561 multiplied by 100, which just add 2 zeros and then divide by 2. Okay. So in that case, it's not so difficult. So we're going to say the next process we're going to follow here is divide 4 by 2 will give us 2. 5 by 2 will give us 2. Then we have here 16. So we have 8. And then we have 0. And then we have 5. So yeah, and then we have 0. So this was like 456,100. So what we're going to have here is 228,050. So in this case, we already have our number, but now for us to get the value of 45, we have to get a tenth of this. So a tenth of this is just like 1 0 less. And that would mean that from here we're going to have 5, and from here is going to be 0, and here is going to be 8, and here is going to be 2, and here we're going to have 2. Okay, so a tenth is what we are subtracting from that. So in that case, now we have here 5, 4, 2, 5, 0, 2. So 205 to 205,245 as our answer. So that is how to do that quickly and easy. So let's now do 120. So this was C. So let's now do D. So D is also like 120. So we're going to quickly say 120 now multiplied by 50, because we just promoted 45 to 50. And that actually also means that we're just going to say what is 120 multiplied by 100. So we add 2 zeros and then divide by 2. So if you divide that one by 2, it's going to give you 6,000. Okay, 6,000. Now, in this case, for us to get our answer, we're going to say what is 10% of 6,000? It's going to be 600. So we're just going to subtract 600 from it, and we are there to our answer, 0, 0. So here we have 4, and then we have 5,000. So that's going to be a quick answer to our question. The thought process that goes through it, I already showed you. First of all, you do the first step, which is to promote this one, 45 to 50, and then you multiply that one by 100, because how to multiply a number by 50 is so easy. But that number by 100 and divide by 2. Now, then we go to the next stage. Now we want to try this one here. 560 is also the same, not so difficult. So we're going to say now the first step I'm going to say is 560 multiplied by 50. But to multiply anything by 50, just multiply. So just have x multiplied by 100 and divide by 2. So that's going to be the principal that we're going to use here. So that's going to be 560. Add 2 zeros because times 100 and divide by 2. So that's going to give you, this is like 56,000. So that's going to, if you divide by 2, it's going to give you 28,000. Okay. So now if you want to, just less 10% of that, which is just like one, sorry for that. So then it's going to be here 2,800. So 2,800 is going to be the what we less there. So for us, we have 0. We have 0. We have here 0, 0, and then we have 2, and then we have 5, and then we have 2. So 25,200 is going to be our answer. Thank you so much for watching and enjoying with me. Have a nice time and bye-bye.